Right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Steve Winward. I am really excited for y'all to join us today. We have an amazing topic. We have amazing speakers. We're going to be talking about Power Virtual Agents and how you can build chatbots inside of the Microsoft platform. I also wanted to take a second for everybody to thank you all for joining this community. It's crazy to think that we've been doing this for well over a year now. We have lots of great sessions. If you haven't seen our past sessions, I definitely recommend you check that out on our GitHub site, which we'll link here in a second, as well as check out our future sessions as well. We've got a lot of great content coming up too, so definitely recommend you come back. And I just want to say, lastly, we could not do this without you all. We want to absolutely show you all the best of what Microsoft has to offer across the federal landscape, and hopefully show you some cool ways that you could leverage our stack with our federal agencies. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to the one of the stars of the show, Brad Law. Brad, can you take it away?
I sure can. Thanks for the intro, Steve. Appreciate everybody showing up today. So to start, we got a little bit of housekeeping, a couple of our standard slides that we do have to present out. The first one's going to be our Microsoft Digital Event Code of Conduct. And just to summarize, this is the Microsoft Digital event. This is a Microsoft Digital event, and our goal is to create a safe and inclusive space where basically the community can benefit from all the experience of everyone. Okay, we want to make sure that everything here is inclusive, that no issues or anything else during the session, and we do reserve the right to remove anybody, which I don't expect to have to do if anybody becomes disruptive. Now, also, you may receive email follow-ups in regards to this. We want to be transparent that your contact information we signed up for is being stored. If you'd like for us to remove that information, just shoot us a message if you'd like for us to do that. This is also being it's also being recorded as well, and that recording will be available as well. So if you do not want to be recorded, then obviously then you can make a decision on what you need to do forward. We also we will remove your contact information, I've said, if you just request it. So just send something in to us as well. Now for our session today, we're going to leave the cameras off for our guests, but chat is actually open as well. And participating in the webinar, you're giving us the right to be recorded. You're actually allowing us to record you as well. And again, this will be made available. It will actually be on YouTube and be available through our Fed Business Apps location, which we'll show you on the next screen here as well. All right, so this is where you can find the history of our recordings. Obviously, this is I guess this would be the first one for this year. So we've got other prior recordings and various topics, some good content there as well. If you're not familiar with some of the things that we've done, feel free to access this link if you'd like to go see some of the other recordings we've had in the past. All range of different types of topics, by the way. Finally, I was asked to give a plug for Dynamics 365 EduCon. This is coming in June. The title's a little misleading to it. This is a Microsoft 365 conference. And there is a track, so if we have a lot of government people here as well, for some of the government items that will be actually covered in that as well. And then finally, if you are interested in any of the different user groups that we have access to as well, we've got quite a few of those as well. Next up, if you're interested in the parity between our government cloud and the commercial cloud to see what features are available, this particular link will get you there as well. Our product group continues to maintain and update our cloud features, especially in this parity document. This is was updated as of January. We can track whatever functionality that you want to see. Again, just use that link. It'll download a PDF. That PDF is usually updated pretty regularly, and that will give you an idea of where things are at in terms of actually hitting into and coming into the government cloud. Now, today, I am going to be showing you some of our omni-channel voice, just as a FYI. Now, this particular feature is not available in GCC until early next year, but this is something that we are actively engaging with customers for planning for that, and you'll see a little bit of that in the demonstrations today that I have to show you. All right, our speakers today, thank you, Steve, for the introduction. I am Brad Law, solution architect on the federal side, covering pretty much all of federal health. Focused mainly on the Power Platform. I've been with Microsoft for 6 years. I've been with Dynamics since version 4 itself. You can be an expert in everything. Prior to that, I was a federal employee with the Department of Homeland Security headquarters. And prior to the Department of Homeland Security, I was actually a consultant and in the partner community. I also have Kadambi and Stephen Kiefer, who will also introduce themselves when they get to their sections as well, who are going to also help out with this demonstration today. In terms of the agenda, obviously we've handled the introductions. We're going to talk a little bit, Stephen's going to talk a little bit about the chatbots. We've got a couple really quick demos, and we're going to show you today. We're going to try to relate that as much as how we built that within those demonstrations. So I'll give a little bit of summary of some of the components. The demonstrations themselves are very quick. This is what you really want in this environment for what we're doing, and this is going to follow a lot on the customer service side, but we're engaging with the bots, we're engaging with the voice channel, a lot of different features, which Stephen will point out some of the different components that we have here as well. Then we'll go to closing and we'll go to QA at the end. So now I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, Stephen, if you'd like to go ahead and pick up and just let me know when you're ready for me to proceed with these slides.
Yeah, as Brad was saying, my name is Stephen Kiefer. I'm a senior consultant with Microsoft Federal. I focus mainly in the data and AI space. I am a big developer. I enjoy working in the conversation UI and AI space, and I've been doing it for a little over 6-7 years. And you can go to the next slide. So I'm sure everybody has been on a website and you've seen chatbots everywhere. They're on banking websites, travel booking sites. They can be found usually in the bottom right-hand corner. They provide a valuable service and can ease the friction of finding the information or handling the action that you're looking for when they work properly. I'm sure we've all had to look, as this person in the slide has had, with the hands on the forehead, the pure frustration of interacting with a bot at one point in time or another. Usually these bots are command driven. They're not based on intelligence. You have to know the commands. Think of like when you're on a phone system, they'll tell you press 1 to check your account, press 2 to open an account, and so forth. And this is fine if you know what the commands are. But even if you don't, one of the big problems is sometimes your task or what you're trying to accomplish doesn't fit into one of these options. And then what do? It gets worse when you don't know what the commands are to do it up front, and it just leads to a very, very frustrating experience. Go ahead and go to the next slide. One of the big advancements was integrating natural language into a chatbot. When you're interacting that uses natural language to communicate, this improves the experience. Now the end user can type or even speak what you want to do, and now the bot, using intelligence, will determine your intent. This is a powerful upgrade as it allows the users to communicate in a manner they are comfortable with, not having to do what the bot wants, but be able to have the conversation the way they want. Intelligence can compensate for a lot of different inputs and conversation styles and correct things on the fly. An example of this is when you're providing your zip code, a phone number, or even your account number. We all have at some point in time said O instead of 0. An example would be in a zip code 10101. This would be handled on the intelligence side as 10101, and it would remove that friction point of the user having to change their language patterns. Intelligent chatbots are usually a little more difficult to build. They usually require an experienced developer, the data scientist, somebody to help model the language, QA testing, all of that. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Today, we're going to show you a chatbot that has an intelligent cross-platform enterprise solution, but it's built with low-code tools so that this could be easily integrated into a lot of different enterprises. This will allow for a better experience for all your users, allowing your developers to free up some time so that they can work on other tasks instead of just having to work on the simpler ones. Go ahead and go to the next slide. In today's demo, some of the technologies that we're using, they include the Power Virtual Agent. This is what we use as a front door or a canvas for the end user to access the platform. Power Automate is used to connect the PVA to our Azure OpenAI service. We're going to be using the Azure OpenAI service to do emotional classification of the user's interaction. This will allow us to classify, are they happy, they sad? And this extra context will be beneficial when we demo the handoff to the live agent. Using the Azure Speech Service, we can transform speech to text and text to speech. All of this is done inline and very simple to do. Communications such as SMS and emails that we're utilizing, we're going to take advantage of the Azure Communication Service. This will allow us to send and communicate with the end user in real time. Customer service voice will be our audio output. This is the voice, the audio that you will hear. And then we will also be utilizing, as Brad said, omni-channel. This is what we will use for the live handoff. And we will be seeing that demo here shortly. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Brad. Go ahead, Brad. It's all yours.
Thank you, Stephen. So just wanted to kind of make sure you understand that these demos are very short, okay? But obviously, the back and forth between the bot and the voice and everything is not something we want to draw out too long. Mainly, we want to give you an idea of the types of things that you can do with some of the products when you bring them all together that Stephen just explained. So the first scenario that we're going to see is when using Power Virtual Agent bot with voice. Again, it's a short demo, but it's the process of your agent to detect the language. So as Stephen mentioned, we're going to detect the language. Then we're going to determine the best topic based off an AI model. That will be translated to voice, and then we'll convert that into a zip code and latitude and longitude all behind the scenes. It's all then encapsulated in a box, so we know the location and specifically where that's at within that latitude and longitude. Again, you won't see that. It's happening behind the scenes. Going out to a public API to get the closest medical center within that box, within that location, setting a whole bunch of variables, and then all return back to Power Virtual Agents. And then all you'll really hear is the bot reading back that location to the caller. So to start, we'll introduce you to a man I've made famous, does not really exist. His name is Ted Bailey. I use him in a lot of the personas that we actually do explain things with. And Ted is a veteran. He's just relocated to the Washington, D.C. area, okay? And effectively what you're going to hear in this demonstration is you're going to hear him actually calling this 1-800 number, who's actually going to be, and the 1-800 number is going to be manned by a bot as an agent. In our world, the bot functions like a normal human agent. All right, and there's the bot coming in. He'll go through, there'll be that handoff, and the bot's basically going to answer that question of who, introduce himself as or herself as Diane, and we'll actually locate that closest medical center and return that back over to Ted. All right, so I'm going to start that demonstration, and you should hear the voice coming through here as well.
Hi, I'm Diane, the virtual agent. I can help with your questions. How may I help you today?
Medical center.
I can surely help you with that. Please say your zip code.
20024.
Thank you. Please wait while I find the nearest medical center. Washington, Virginia Medical Center, 50 Irving Street, Northwest. Washington, DC 20422-0001. Would you like me to schedule an appointment? Please say yes or no.
Yes.
Would you like to have this information sent to you? Please say yes or no.
Yes.
All right, so from there, there's a few extra things that we added in there as well, and that's that ability for that bot to not only find that closest medical center based off proximity, and again, that's going out to a public API. It's also the bot is enabled. You could also enable the bot to actually schedule that appointment as well on behalf of that caller, and then finally, you could even have that information. Normally, if this would have proceeded, we would have asked for the person's phone number, and we'd actually send them a text message with the information, that appointment information as well. All right, so now let's go over to our second scenario. Okay, and what this is going to be is a very similar process of using that voice to text translation with Power Virtual Agents again, except we're going to also do a little bit empathizing with the caller. And this is a situation where Ted is having a little bit of trouble here. Okay. From here, we're going to initiate a few variables. We're going to classify the text. We're going to translate that voice over to text. We'll determine the specific topic. So basically, the way that this is laid out in the back end is we've got the different topics that could come in. We'll determine which one of those topics is actually what we're talking about with the caller. Then we'll go ahead and send that text to OpenAI to determine the emotion in the text, okay, of what that person said after we translated that text. Again, we'll empathize with the caller verbally as well through the bot, and then we'll move that over to a live agent who would assist this particular veteran in the situation. All right, so again, here's Ted. Ted's having a bit of a emergency, okay, and that emergency just happens to do with his housing situation at the moment. Again, that will go over to the bot, okay, and the bot will provide that empathy as well using that OpenAI connection. Tommy will he'll get into a little bit more about what we're doing with that as well. We'll go over the architecture here a little bit. And then finally, that's going to be converted over to the agent, okay? And the agent's going to pick up that call. And I'll just give you a quick idea of what we can do from that customer service side of things with the agent taking that call and some of the AI that's baked into that as well. So let's go ahead and hear Ted's call.
Hi, I'm Diane, the virtual agent. I can help with your questions. How may I help you today?
I'm worried that I do not have a roof over my head and no place to sleep.
I'm sorry to hear about your situation. Don't worry. Let me connect you with the crisis line to help with your situation.
All right, so what you heard there was the bot actually answering that call.
You're
Again,
next in line.
this would be a little bit longer scenario, but basically the bot is picking up that call. The bot is translating that text. It's using the text that's been translated from the caller, and it's using OpenAI, going out to OpenAI, ChatGPT, that whole setup there, to pull back based off a categorization of the emotion that particular caller actually has at that moment. So now what we'll do is we'll go over to Agent Renee Lowe. Okay, so this would be within Dynamics 365 here, and we'll see what that agent experience looks like here a little bit. Now, I just want to say that obviously we've got the ability within here to do both emotion and sentiment. OpenAI is being used for emotion, but we've also got sentiment. And what we'll see is that call would come into the system here. Now, I'd start, my day with checking out some of the things that are kind of happening on the customer service side. I can see a few calls that are actually been in, and some of these calls are being handled by bots. I've got the ability to see what queues or things are falling into as well. And then just a moment here, we'll see the particular call come in from the agent, call in from Ted to the agent who's going to go ahead and take that call. All right, there's the call coming in. I would accept that call. Now I can continue this conversation with Ted. Now what's going to happen here is over here on the left side of things, we can see the entire transcript from that bot conversation. I can see that it's a slightly negative sentiment but also toward the bottom left, I can see that there's an emotion category of sad, okay? And that's that OpenAI connection. So I don't want to confuse sentiment with emotion. They're two different things. That's a whole theory conversation I won't get into right now. Some of the other AI features that we have too are the ability to expose the knowledge base articles, which I've already clicked off of. You can have it script this out as well. We can continue this and further this conversation with Ted to give him the support that he needs. Again, a lot of that being handled up in both scenarios. For a customer service agent or a customer service organization, a lot of that is being handled up front as well by that bot who can actually interface with the veteran or the contact or whoever that person is, stakeholders, to kind of give them some of the help that they may need. So what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and hand this over to Kadambi, who's going to talk a little bit more about the demo architecture itself. And just Kadambi, I think you only have one slide, so let me know when you're ready. If you want to go ahead and start with introducing yourself.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Narshaman Kadambi. I go by Kadambi, and I'm an application development cloud solution architect with the Federal Civ. I work with any applications that spans Azure, Power Platform, AI, and some aspects of omnichannel. So I'm here to tell you about this architecture. So can we go to the next slide? Can you guys all see the diagram, or do you want it to be zoomed in a little bit?
It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear, I think, Kadambi,
okay.
from your side.
Awesome. Thank you. So as Brad and Steve were talking about, we are leveraging a lot of technologies and cool technologies. But the scope that I really want to focus you guys on is yes, we got a bot and it answers questions, and it does integrate with Azure OpenAI. But what we wanted to show in this demo, along with the capabilities of the things that some of you might be familiar with, are how can we use this and use that the classification that we are using with emotion classification they're using with OpenAI, text classification that we are using with the underlying AI builder. How do you wire up Azure text to speech and speech to text capabilities? How do you integrate that into omnichannel and provide an end-to-end solution across the system so that we are not just doing only Azure or only Power Platform or only Dynamics, but to show the true value of one Microsoft, that we can leverage these technologies and give value. The value impact here is that using an interface across all these verticals, we can detect the emotion of a person, we can classify what the user is talking about, the intent, and help them and be more empathetic and resolve by talking to an agent. Previously, you would have seen talking to an agent, okay, good, this is what they want. Now you get things like the emotion of the person who's typing in to know what they want. Also, we can add in things like locations and other stuff that we want. And also, they don't have to add commands, you know what I'm saying, just like a syntax or anything. They can talk naturally and we can figure out the intent. That's what this whole architecture helps you to understand. So on the left, you have the user coming in. On the right, you have the agent. And between you have the technologies of omni-channel voice, the dynamic that does the workstream queuing to an agent who's available, along with the OpenAI and the Power Platform AI Builder and the Azure text-to-speech that nicely plays well, that you saw in the demo that had got no idea. All you saw was a 1-800 number, a user calls, and magic happens. That's the underlying architecture. And all this, the beauty of all this is there is no Python or Java or JavaScript or .NET code written at all. So the Azure OpenAI, right? You'd have seen a lot of articles, a lot of things going on, mind-blowing stuff at what it does. We went a step. We also didn't want to create saying, hey, we did this with OpenAI. No, that's not what we wanted to show. We want to show, hey, with ChatGPT, we went one step forward and wanted to show you that the awesomeness of the ChatGPT can be included into our technology, into a much more meaningful impact delivery to our customers, like how the agent was able to understand how the person is feeling and cater to their needs in a more empathetic way, understand their intent and say, sorry, I don't understand, let me talk to an agent, and asking a lot of robotic kind of questions Now we have AI-based intelligence that understands the underlying intent. You don't have to speak in terms of commands. You can speak more comfortably, more like a conversation, like to a person, and we will understand. And we will have other things like contextual things like, hey, you're looking to fix an appointment. Great. And these are the top 3 queries that you were able to ask in the past few months. So do you need to go over them again? So all those contextual based, empathetic based, all that stuff, because of our AI base, including OpenAI, we were able to give you an end-to-end solution in a low-code way. That's what the beauty of this architecture is, right? So on the left, you got agent calling a 1-800 number. Omnichannel does the routing to a bot because it's not looking for an agent. They ask the questions, it does the agent, it knows that the agent and the user is sad because he doesn't have a place to say, and it automatically detects that, right? That's the power of ChatGPT we are leveraging to know how the user is feeling about. And not only we stop there, we translate that to an agent. Now the agent knows that the person is sad because he doesn't have a place to say. Now the agent has got the capability to be more empathetic, more helpful. And then the agent comes in and they talk over omni-channel, and now you're going text to speech to text, back and forth. And now you're not only helping the agent, you're also helping the person to be more satisfactory, right? More able to understand, more empathetic. The EIQ that we generally talk about is also in play automatically. So imagine the situation where a veteran is wanting to talk and there's a lot of mental health issues going around with a veteran. Now the bot with this capability, bam, you can help them out easily, be more sensitive to their situation, more sensitive to the way they are talking, and help them more in a very seamless, quick to deploy low-code solution across Microsoft platforms, not just in one thing, right? This is like 3 platforms in one solution. So that's the architecture. Back to you, Brad.
All right, thanks, Kadami. So, Rob, we wanted to save a lot of time. We figured we'd get a lot of questions in regards to some of the different things that we're showing here today. Kadami's covered off on the architecture, and you can tell. I mean, obviously, I shortened the demos very. You could have a full interaction in this way. I shortened them obviously to make this portion of the demo not just kind of run on a lot. But again, you can see that there's a lot of components here. Those components are coming together pretty smoothly. We continue to make improvements to all of these features as well, on all sides of things too, to kind of bring those integrations a little bit more together. Now, what I've got too is I will post these links into the chat, as well as some of the links from the prior slide, which had some of the user groups if there is an interest. Those user groups are not necessarily government focused, but a lot of those user groups will have a bit of a government spin to those. These features that in terms of the references, these are the references for some of the different components that we saw in the architecture diagram and how some of those work as well. Like a new one for me was the Azure OpenAI. Obviously, that's not been around for the last 6 months. So I've been trying to read up myself and get a little bit more up to speed on some of the things that we could do with Azure, and Kadami's great idea of bringing in some of that emotion into the conversation. I also showed you some of the dynamic side of things outside of what the bot can do, but there's also a lot of AI that's built into our products. A lot of the slides that we even saw in this deck we're using for some of the PowerPoint. We even use some of the OpenAI features for some of the images that you saw in here as well. I even generated some summary text for some of the bullet points that I wanted to put together. I may not have covered them all the way, or I may have skipped through them just in the interest of time here a little bit, but it was very nice to be able to use some of these features to kind of speed these processes up. So there's really a personal way to use some of these things, but there's obviously some great benefits of bringing these types of tools together, especially for an organization. I always say that if you have any type of information on your company website or your organization's website that is being presented out, you can use a bot to kind of help with that information summarize for end users. It all comes back to customer service and being able to, enable people to be able to answer some of the questions themselves.